Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, Harlem's controversial preacher-politician, was laid to rest today after a well-attended ceremony at his own Abyssinian Baptist Church. As chairman of the Education and Labor Committee, Congressman Powell, a charismatic, self-styled activist, became the most powerful black elected official in United States history. He was 63 years old.
I never finished the story why Powell was alive because it was too easy to get wrong. The man was complex. Now that he was dead, I sure as hell didn't want to mess it up. His enemies would love him.
Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Mr. Speaker, it is upon my responsibility as a member-elect of the 90th Congress that I make a motion that the gentleman from New York, Mr. Powell, not be sworn in at this time as a member of this Congress.
The gentleman demand that the gentleman from New York step aside.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, and I further move that a special bipartisan committee be appointed to determine ultimately how Mr. Powell should be dealt with. This committee should report its findings back within 5 weeks in order that we at that time can find a more permanent solution to the Powell matter.
Adam. We both know a measly little newspaper article, even if it is the front page, doesn't come close, man. Impossible, but I had to try.
Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. of New York, is excluded from his seat in this House until such time as the bipartisan subcommittee delivers its report.
Sons of bitches. We really did it.
Congress threw away the Constitution to railroad Adam Clayton Powell today. I had too much power for a Negro. First, they stole away the Education and Labor Committee chairmanship I worked fair and hard to get and gave it to Carl Perkins of Kentucky. Then, to underline their contempt for me and the people who voted me into Congress, they kicked me out of Congress itself. This whole thing, I say it just like it is. Any congressman with a conscience won't be sleeping well tonight. They say it's a question of character and ethics. They say you're a congressman, you're a pastor, lacks in both. That's what my distinguished colleagues say about me. They say it's my absenteeism, relatives on the payroll, and the way that I flaunt the use of public funds to travel first class, some of it for pleasure. Of course I have pleasure when I travel. And of course I travel first class, baby, they do. My esteemed colleagues say I gall the American people. Do I gall y'all? That I gall the people. That's like the sheet calling the pillowcase white. Amen. The people, not Congress, decides who represents them. That's right. Nowhere in the Constitution that I read does it stipulate that the House of Representatives has the right to dictate who represents the people of Harlem. Why, if it were up to those hypocrites, I never would have been elected in the first place. Well, they would have excluded me long ago when I first introduced the Powell Amendment. They would have excluded me for holding their feet to the fire to provide the type of leadership and representation provided for us in the great document, the Constitution of the United States of America. What sort of leadership do we have in this country when there are people who have fought and died for this country, that there are still places that we can't go and sit down and order a cup of coffee in a cheap little lunch counter? If these men, our leaders, can't lead us to a better nation, can't themselves provide the type of democracy that they are preaching, then all of them, each and every one, should just sit down and shut up.
Congressman, you can't just go.
I want my seat back, baby.
Adam, we were just discussing it. Please join us.
Congressman?
Manny Sela here is chairman of the committee to evaluate the charges against you. John Conyers, a friend. He'll be honored.
I was elected by the people of Harlem to be their representative in Congress. I fit all the criteria in the Constitution to be their congressman. My colleagues can't just kick me out because they don't like the truth I speak or the way I speak it.
You're not being kicked out, Adam. You're being temporarily excluded, pending the findings of the investigation.
Don't patronize me, Mr. McCormick. I want my seat back. I'm right. And in the end, I'll be proven right. I guarantee it. Good to see another black face in the Congress, Mr. Conyers. Keep the faith, baby.
It was June 8th, 1969, when I landed in Bimini. Adam went down there so often, they called it Adam's Island. I had done all my research, and as a result of which, I had absolutely no idea what manner of man I was going to encounter. Everybody had a different story. The only consistent thing was that Adam Clayton Powell was smart, slick, and liked the finer things in life.
Damn. Congressman Watson from South Carolina said Adam Powell lived down here in paradise with a drink in one hand and a woman in the other. I don't know what they consider paradise in South Carolina, but where I come from, this is a raggedy-ass shack. And maybe I took the wrong road. Mr. Powell? Adam Clayton Powell. Congressman Powell? Hello?
Door wide open. Scotch laid out on the table with 3 glasses. I figured Powell knew I was coming and he wanted me to feel comfortable. Make myself at home. So I did. But I learned, like so many others, never assume anything with Adam Clayton Powell, Jr.
Mister, what are you doing in my house? Drinking my liquor? Reading my books?
I'm a reporter, Congressman Powell. For the Defender. Joe Schiller. We exchanged letters.
Did I tell you you could take over my house?
Well, having a drink after working my way through your jungle trying to find this place hardly constitutes taking over your house. But if I offended you, I apologize.
You sound pretty damn proper. An educated Negro. Relax, man. What'd you say your name was?
Schiller. Joe Schiller. I hear you're working on a book about your colleagues in Congress.
You mean the textbook I'm working on? General information.
I hear it's information about who's done what and to whom. Sounds like a get-even book to me.
I'd have to go backward to get even. My intentions are merely to provide insight to the population on how the representatives do the business of government. You want to help me clean these fish, Mr. Schiller?
Not really.
Then you don't get to eat. Sure you've never done this before?
Positive.
Would have never known.
If I wasn't starving from trying to find this place, I wouldn't be doing it now.
What kind of story are you after, Mr. Schiller?
I just want to know what's true and what isn't. You know, who you are.
Well, that depends on who you are, wouldn't you say?
Do you mind if we go back to your formative years when you were an activist?
Still am.
Well, I know that as a young man, you...
Well, young is relative, Mr. Schiller. State of mind.
Well, when you were younger in years, you organized protests and boycotts in New York to get black folks jobs. That was more as a religious leader, right?
There's no separation of church and state in the black community, Mr. Schiller. You should know that, brother.
Well, then what caused you to leave the pulpit and go into politics?
I never left. I'm still a pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Drop me off in Harlem, any place in Harlem.
right. That's it. Break it down. I want him out. I want him out.
Ease up, baby. You don't need to go breaking down people's doors now. I'm Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. I'd like a word in private with Mr. O'Malley. Mr. O'Malley?
Unless you got my money, Powell, we got nothing to talk about. I got eviction papers here.
You do have your bread, Daddy. I think you want to talk to me.
Give me the money first.
Baby. Talk. You've been making out like a fat rat in a cheese factory, my man. We need to discuss that.
Just give me my money, Powell. I don't want to talk.
Oh, there's no way to negotiate, Daddy-O. Be cool or all rent will stop. That means no money. Zero.
You can't do that.
Done it all over Harlem. And your colleagues have discovered that it's good business to do business with me. Here's the deal. You get half the rent until you've delivered on the list of repairs that need to be done in this building. Meanwhile, we'll negotiate fair rents across the board. It's your best bet, Big O. And God will look kindly on you, too. Let's go. And Mr. O'Malley, one more thing. The first thing on your list, fix Shackelford's door.
Let's get out of here!
I saved your hide, Shaq. I expect to see you in church this Sunday so we can work on your soul.
Yes, sir, Reverend Powell. I'll be in church Sunday. Definitely.
Bring the family.
Yes, sir.
The rest of y'all colored folks in this building, y'all come too now. Lord is our shepherd, y'all. Jones, you and that choir make even those among us who are faking singing with you sound good. Marvelous. Really marvelous. Good morning to you, members of Abyssinian. I said good morning. Good people of Abyssinian, every time I look around this beautiful church and see the beautiful people, I am compelled to have to bring to the attention of people who are newcomers the chief reason that we're here in this beautiful structure, and that is primarily through the efforts of my father, Adam Clayton Powell, Sr. The loving devotion of his wife, my mother, Mattie Powell. And of course, my lovely wife as well, Isabel, please stand up. And of course, through the efforts of all of you. Brothers and sisters, we have with us today very distinguished guests, members of New York City's political hierarchy, powerful men who make things happen. We have our fine mayor and former congressman, Fiorello LaGuardia, the little flower. Please stand, Mr. Mayor. No, I said please stand, Mr. Mayor. All of his political associates, these distinguished gentlemen who have come down. Brothers and sisters, today we're going to have a Sunday come to meeting. It is Sunday and you have come to meeting. My father always taught me You always taught me to preach with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, the old-time, simple gospel. That's right. That's right. Given the fact that we have the powerful men who do make things happen in the city, we're going to use as our text Matthew 23, verse 21. It says, "Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." Brothers and sisters, our message today, sharing the wealth.
Reverend Powell, I think the root of our problem is that you don't understand how government works.
Well, perhaps if I came up there and joined the city council, Mr. Mayor, I could learn.
No. Your place is right here, in the community, in front of your people, on Sunday mornings, attending their spiritual needs.
Besides, even if you got all the votes in Harlem, you still wouldn't have enough to make city council. You'll need some white votes to win citywide. You deliver us the Negro votes that we need, and we may find a little extra something just for you.
I appreciate this donation to my congregation, but I had something a little more equitable in mind. Arnold, give this to Hattie over at the church. Tell her it's a municipal contribution.
I'll do it now.
Now, gentlemen, let's get down to the brass tacks. When I spoke of sharing the wealth, I meant in terms of jobs, opportunity, opening up the city to all the people. Frank, another round. I always find the scotch warms a conversation, don't you? To sharing the wealth.
So these 3 yachts I read about were actually a dinghy, a small motorboat, and an old fishing boat that belonged to your father?
You know how the press exaggerates, you're one of them.
Basically, you're telling me it's all smoke and no fire.
Now, brother, I didn't say all that. I go first class every chance I get. Just like my colleagues, only I refuse to be a sneak and a liar like them.
So you don't mind admitting that you took money off the record, under the table, so to speak?
Who'd you say you work for again? J. Edgar Hoover?
No. Black reporter, black newspaper. Ultimately, I served the same people you represented when you weren't down here fishing.
I've been serving the people since before you were born, Mr. Schiller.
Sit down.
Would you like an Irish whiskey?
If you're joining me?
Certainly.
A lot of your people ride the city buses that my transport workers union is striking against.
Mr. Quill, your union has a total workforce of 3,202 members. Only 14 are Negroes, and all of them are low-end porters. I want drivers and mechanics.
That'll take time. There's a seniority system that must be honored.
I can't take that back uptown with me. Negro passengers pay the fares and all they see are white people in the driver's seats. If that's all they're gonna see after helping you attain your goals, why the hell bother?
I'm prepared to offer you apprentice situations as a start. When the older workers retire, then the younger people will be capable of moving into their positions.
Not good enough. If we help you get what you want, we need to see Negroes in some of those driver's seats.
Let me think about it. Let's see what I can come up with.
The bus company will meet your demands in no time, if we can come to an agreement. I guarantee empty buses rolling through Harlem.
I wish I had you working for me in my union, Mr. Powell.
If I were in your union, Mr. Quill, you'd be working for me.
Well, then a fine battle we'd have on our hands, my friend.
We'll have to be keeping an eye on that one.
Weren't you the one who told me that any church that was inactive in the community was worthless?
Will you quit using my words to fit your purposes? I said active, not hooked up with a bunch of radical hoodlums attacking everything in sight.
My radical hoodlums gotten jobs for Negroes all over New York. Department stores, the electric company, the phone company. Even those Negroes have been talking behind my back.
Will you two lower your voices?
It took me years to build up my congregation. I did it by not leaving anyone behind. Negroes are basically conservative, son. At least the ones you can count on. You can't leave your base support behind and be running all up and down the streets acting wild and crazy.
I don't buy where you can't work campaign and got Negroes hired where their money was taken for granted.
When the board agreed to let you take my place, they trusted that you would continue things the way they were. And I thought you would too.
Well, it's a new age, Father P. Maybe it calls for new strategies.
Hush now, Adam. Listen to your father.
Son, I don't think it's a good idea for you to get all involved in white people's union problems. To be most effective, a Negro leader must be independent.
I'll always stay independent, Father P. But in order to put out fires, you gotta deal with the people on the water. And until I can get up in there, that's white unions, white government, and white people.
You can lead this church, or you can get involved in politics. But if you fight too many battles on too many fronts, you just may lose the war.
Let those hypocrites downtown know that we here in Harlem, in our prisons and their downtown, don't fight the Muslims! Don't fight the Muslims!
Miss Scott, I should have taken another route. Troublemakers.
On the contrary, they're heroes. It's just too bad they don't know how to get out of the way, so we won't be late this afternoon.
Are we going to ride that lousy, stinking nasty bus? Don't ride the buses! 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 Don't ride the buses!
You see that well-dressed, nosy one? Obviously, Mr. Powell himself. Excuse me, can we get through?
You're Hazel Scott. It's a pleasure to meet you.
And who are you?
You don't know who I am. I'm the Big Bad Wolf.
Ah, well, nice to meet you, Mr. Big Bad Wolf. Now, can you clear a path for us?
Maybe I should detain you for a while. Make you picket with us proletariat for a minute or two. It'd be great for morale.
Now, Mr. Wolf, you are not that big and bad.
Open up a path here. Open. Miss Hazel Scott is coming through.
I have no problem picketing with my people, Mr. Big Bad Wolf. I just have to be somewhere this afternoon.
The name's Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. I'll pretend like I believe you've never heard of me. Either way, I promise you'll be more aware of me in the future.
solemnly swear to abide by the Charter of the City of New York, so help me God.
New York's first Negro city councilman. Congratulations.
I get your drink right?
Shouldn't you be out kissing babies or at home with your wife? Something suitable for a city councilman?
I belong to the people.
Not being naughty now, are we?
I'm trying to be nice. Who knows, maybe I could win your vote. May I?
Suit yourself.
You know, we have a lot in common.
Do we?
We're both very interested in getting to know each other.
You are a hoot and a scoundrel.
Glad I made a good impression. Garçon, more champagne.
Right away, Mr. Councilman.
There really ought to be a warning label on men who belong to the people first.
Some manage.
A lot less than people care to admit.
Well, your father did.
My father wanted to be a congressman, but he never got on the political boat like I did. He did his work through the church.
So you went beyond the church and the family and into politics because you felt the need to accomplish more than your father.
And I did this because I was in competition with my father for the love of my mother. Make good copy. Domino.
You good, my friend.
You know how to play dominoes?
No.
Well, sit down. Let me baptize you a little bit. Ferdinand, why don't you and Mike go over to the bar, belly up. My friend Joe's going to buy you a drink. Fat Joe's buying drinks for everybody in the bar. 1 round.
I'll tell you something.
It's nothing.
You know, I don't work for the Times.
Not yet, my friend, not yet.
So, when exactly did you decide you were going to go for the new congressional seat for Harlem?
The minute I heard there might be a new congressional district created for Harlem. My people have been representing Harlem for too long. Or should I say they'd been taking Harlem for granted long enough. I couldn't think of a better man for the job.
Most people figured A. Philip Randolph deserved it. And some say you stole it.
If I remember correctly, I was voted into Congress by the people of Harlem.
But you did know there was a big movement to draft A. Philip Randolph.
I can think of no other man I respect more for his efforts in the same struggle as I, as the man we honor tonight, Mr. A. Philip Randolph, founder and president of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters.
Find Reverend Powell and tell him. Have you got that?
With another Somalia Act back in
And this has all been checked off by Mr. Buchanan.
The order's been changed. Ray Jones doesn't trust Powell to go first, so we get to find Powell before he goes on stage. Reverend Powell, sir.
Is there a problem?
There's been a slight change in plans. Instead of introducing Mr. Randolph, we would like you to close in prayer.
I may as well throw away the speech I've been working on for the past 2 weeks. Whose bad idea is this anyway? Unless Mr. Randolph tells me personally that he wants things to go differently, I'm on next.
But, sir, if...
Ray Jones.
Hello, Adam.
Sure looks like they're ready for A. Philip tonight.
Yes, it does.
Better go warm up the stage for him, shall I?
Oh, wait a minute, Adam. I think there's been a change in the order.
No, not at all. You know, we should work together sometime, you and me. I like the way you think.
And I have a feeling that history, political history, will be changed by some of the things that may be put in motion here tonight.
Well, wish me luck. A. Philip Randolph, we welcome you. My city of New York, my kingdom of Harlem. We have important business to discuss tonight. Important business. And I, your humble little parish priest, will make sure that that business is done correctly. I shall try to keep my remarks down, but nonetheless, I shall try to make them like a woman's skirt. Long enough to be respectable, but short enough to be interesting. Many people may wonder why, from time to time, we must come together as a Negro people at events such as these to protest the unfair treatment that is being heaped upon Negroes throughout this country and throughout the world. But I say that protest has a purpose. I say there are measurable gains to be made when a person says, "Get off of my neck." I say it's because we protested that we Negro people in New York have the first Negro councilman in City Hall. It is because we protested that we desegregated all the stores on 125th Street in Harlem. But it is now time for the first Negro congressman from New York. Therefore, I must, in spite of time, energy, and prior commitments, I must run for the Congress of the United States of America. Have a national voice speaking from your national capital. Why a Negro? Many of you will ask. I, Adam Powell, am in a position to answer that because I, Adam Powell, may belong to a group of people that some others may think are inferior, but I belong to a group of people that God, omniscient, omnipresent God, God of all power, says you're my children and you're the same as anyone else. And with that kind of faith in me and courage in me,
I know I can be as good, if not better, than anyone who walks the halls of Congress. Doesn't matter what ticket or what party. My people demand a forthright, militant, anti-Uncle Tom congressman. My cry today, and until the day I die, is let my people go now!
What do you want, Mr. Powell?
A better world for all.
And where, may I ask, do you think I fit in?
Don't know yet.
Your wife must have the commitment of Job.
Well, she knows who I am.
Does she? Really?
Some people know me, Miss Scott. Would you like to?
Depends on what kind of student you are.
A very good student, Miss Scott. How good of a teacher are you?
I'm a very good teacher.
Prove it to me.
Well, let's start with some chopsticks.
Chopsticks. It's advanced.
It's still early. Always go to bed early. Father insisted if I didn't get enough rest, I'd end up with bags like Duke Ellington.
My bags at your place.
Well, send somebody by, bring it to you.
You're not gonna invite me to spend the night?
My dear new best friend, I have absolutely no interest in you spending the night. You're the wrong gender.
That's cold, man. You realize I spent a good deal of my money on drinks for your friends, who seem to be everybody.
Thank you very much. Very generous of you. I'll see you tomorrow, I'm sure.
Good night, Mr. Schiller. Don't swap 30. That's 10, all right?
I realize we're causing a scandal. Tongues are beginning to wag.
I hadn't noticed anything. Except you.
You notice. You notice everything. Are you willing to hurt anyone to get what you want?
I'm willing to be honest. Are you?
I'm always honest.
Then tell me honestly what you want.
What I have. And a family.
Are you proposing to me?
You are a politician. An already very married politician, lest we forget.
And for you, sir.
When it comes to women, you are definitely not to be trusted.
Oh, I can be trusted. Once I'm understood. I will admit, being Mrs. Adam Clayton Powell isn't always easy.
I wouldn't think being Mrs. Adam Clayton Powell would be any harder than being Mr. Hazel Scott, actually.
Touché. Touché. Fishing is like women. Once you develop the touch, the fish find you. Of course, you don't want every fish to find you.
So when you broke up with Isabel, you were free to see Hazel openly.
Well, actually, it was Isabel who was let free.
That's one way of looking at it without feeling guilty.
No, I feel guilty about it. She was given the raw deal. This is the end, bunny girl. I'm sorry.
What?
Because once upon a time, you were ahead of me. Then I caught you, then I passed you. I can't sustain the distance. But she hated politics. I was moving into the big time.
City of New York. Are you willing to work together?
To fight together, to worship together, to win together, to vote together. Work together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camping.
While the talk of New York City was the spectacular wedding reception we had at Cafe Society, Hazel and I chose to have our actual wedding be a small private affair out of town. The king had his queen and was ready to roll.
The preacher from Harlem arrived in Washington.
Well, I like it at all.
I was elected to Congress by Harlem, but I was the representative in government for every black person in America. All these love letters.
And there's more in your office, in Odell's office, in Waldo and Maxine's office, and in the downstairs post office.
I want information on every congressman's staff. I want to know every bill that's been passed the last 10 years and how those bills got passed. I want to know who's who, what who wants, and how they think.
Yes, Adam.
Gossip, skeletons, weaknesses, strengths, dirt. We need every advantage we can get. I want to move so fast we make half the Congress dizzy, the other half pass out from exhaustion. Everybody knows there's a bad Negro in Congress now. I want you all to be known as my bad Negro staff.
Yes, sir.
Now, here you go.
Hey, boy. You seen that new Negro Congressman Powell yet?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Oh, you know him. Colored man with a big mouth. Thinks he's gonna come down here and raise hell. That boy's got some big surprises in store for him.
Congressman Rankin from Mississippi. Senator Bilbo. I recognize you boys, too.
I think it's a damn disgrace you got elected, Powell. Now, don't you sit anywhere near me, here? You better watch yourself. This ain't New York. Southern rules govern this city.
My grandma, what a redneck you have. A lot of folks think I'm the first and only Negro up in here.
Now, Adam, that's not fair to Congressman Dawson from Chicago. Now, he may not be as
cool. Ma, you do wonders for a size 4. Parisian?
actually confrontational was what I had in mind. But I hear he makes progress, quietly.
Nonsense. Keep walking, Hattie. Progress is a bloody guerrilla war. You have to keep pushing, plotting, scratching, fighting. Never let them rest. Keep them squirming. Be a burr in their saddle, otherwise they control and define your progress. You crawl after scraps.
Well, I don't think I'll be able to eat with all these people staring at me.
Think of it this way, Hattie. You're not just eating to eat. You're eating to help the whole human race. You're eating to help these poor souls evolve.
Adam, I'm eating because you're dragging me.
That too.
I can smell lobster bisque from miles away. My father cooked it almost every day.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry, there's absolutely no seats anywhere.
Oh, no, not at all. We'll just take those chairs just there.
Please, sir. Please.
Congressman Rankin, how nice of you to stand. Yes, I know that Congressman Dawson and other Negroes aren't allowed to eat here, but things will be changing. Bye, all. Ah, my good friend.
Yes, sir?
Listen, brother, you know, I know with all these good old boys around, there's got to be some fried chicken and collard greens around, so we need to fatten her up. And I'm kidding. You know, whatever there's, chef's special and 2 house salads.
Yes,
sir. Yeah? Make sure they don't spit in it. Lunch smells good. Come in, it's not locked.
Compliments of Miss Hazel Scott.
Thank you, Walter.
Since I was in the neighborhood, I thought I'd drop by and give you dinner and a show. Since you did forget our dinner date tonight.
I'm sorry, baby.
I'm sure you are.
Did you come here, brown sugar?
No. You just keep on working. Just tell me what I can do. You know, I do believe in accomplishment. Even though I loathe DC politics, it's horse manure.
What did I do right? You're a dream.
I know.
Don't wake me. What's the matter with me for getting dinner with a beautiful creature like you?
I don't know. But don't let it happen again.
Or what?
Or I'll have to punish you.
Is that a problem?
Yeah.
You know, I actually think Hazel hated the game of politics more than Isabel. She was a natural activist. Smartest woman I ever met. And the least tolerant. Of what? Hazel's West Indian, like Ray Jones. Proud as hell, sensitive to slights. They come from a place where being black is the rule, not the exception. Add to that the complexity of the British influence, aloof and slightly superior. I think there were damn few white Americans Hazel met she didn't feel superior to.
So, did Hazel's superior attitude ever give you any problems as an American black?
Are you crazy? I loved her for it. She was as bold as I was. Well, almost. Bravo. Magnificent.
What, baby? What did I do now?
Nothing, Adam. Absolutely nothing.
First time I ever got in trouble for that. Lady, you're polishing silverware. You don't do chores.
I may as well start. Get on my knees, scrub the floor, walk around with my head down, don't look at anybody in the eye. Sure as hell doesn't mean anything to be a congresswoman's wife around here.
Wait. What's going on? Is this about Constitution Hall?
How did you know that, Adam? Did you know those witches were gonna look at me in the face and say I was not allowed?
Oh. They did that to Marian Anderson 5 years ago. I thought for sure they would. It's a policy that has to be addressed.
You used me. You set this up knowing that I was gonna be turned away.
You couldn't be a pawn on your worst day.
Oh, don't touch me.
Hazel, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Those nothings had the nerve to tell me, Hazel Scott, who has performed for crown heads of Europe, that I was not welcome to perform at Constitution Hall. It was humiliating.
You have every right to perform at that hall.
Don't you ever do that to me again.
President, we'll see you now.
Thank you.
Congressman Powell.
Mr. President, thank you for granting me an unofficial visit.
You have been busy.
Thank you, sir.
It was not a compliment. This Powell amendment I hear you intend to attach to bills in Congress will mean nothing but trouble.
The Powell Amendment expresses my belief that any money collected from the public at large should not be redistributed to support in any way any group that would discriminate. Such a system is unacceptable to any thinking person. To expect compliance is stupid, really. It's like expecting someone to pay for a house that they can't set foot in.
Are you talking about the concert your wife was prevented from doing at Constitution Hall?
The Daughters of the American Revolution had no right to deny my wife the right to perform there because of her color. Not to mention the fact that Crispus Attucks, a Negro, was one of the first to die in the very American Revolution they based their name on.
I know how you feel about that. I've read it. In every damn newspaper that'd listen to you.
We pay taxes like everyone else. Those taxes help support that hall. And taxation without representation is tyranny, sir.
Well, even though you called my wife, what was it, the last lady of the land, and anointed Eleanor Roosevelt as the first...
Excuse me, sir, please let me clarify. I made that distinction because, as you know, when the great singer Marian Anderson was denied the right to perform at Constitution Hall, Mrs. Roosevelt resigned her position in the DAR. Whereas, with all due respect, sir, your wife attended one of their tea parties.
You, sir, are playing politics. You knew the policy. You set this whole thing up to cause trouble. I want to make one thing clear. My wife, Bess, bears no ill will toward your wife or Negro people with her membership in the DAR. You well know that neither of us have any control over management or policy of private enterprise.
Forgive me, sir, but that's precisely the point. It is not private enterprise when public money is used to support the very institutions that insult us.
You're as stubborn as I've heard.
I prefer to think of it as proper determination.
Well, thank you for the visit, Congressman Powell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The pleasure was all mine. Tell him that this is precisely the same problem.
Did you get an apology?
Hattie, will you excuse us?
An invitation to perform that I can turn down?
No. No, the best I could get was to get him to say that his wife didn't bear any ill will toward you.
No ill will. Ill will. Adam, you could have lied to me and told me the man said he was sorry.
Does anyone in Washington have sense? That includes you, Adam. Yeah, I wonder how you can hear your fellow congressman use the word nigger on the Congress floor, and then you shake their hands and you smack them on the back as if they're friends. Doesn't it drive you crazy?
No. What drives me crazy is when there's anybody who thinks that they have the right to tell us no. Who thinks that they can tell us who helped build this country that there's any place that we can't go. So they can call me nigger, they can call me anything they want to on the floors of that Congress. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna let them treat the future Hazel Scotts of this world the way that they treated you. And I don't like it, baby. I don't like the rules any more than you do. I'm gonna shove those goddamn rules down their throats until they change them. It's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna die trying.
Well, you can't die yet. I still need you.
What do you need me for? You make more money than I do.
Well, I might have to take some time off pretty soon.
For what?
Don't you notice anything about me? Different? Little, weight gain? An aura? Glow, maybe?
Are you sure?
Positive.
Oh, baby, that's wonderful. That's wonderful news.
Now, I'm gonna need a lot more of your time, Mr. Powell, a lot more.
Every second I can spare.
In from around the world as Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, convicted for giving atom bomb secrets to the Russians, were the first U.S. civilians to be executed for espionage. Proving that no one is above suspicion, Senator Joseph McCarthy turns his communist hunting expertise toward our own Secretary of the Army, Robert T. Stevens, for allegedly hampering attempts to uncover communists in the military. White House news. President Eisenhower leads the first Republican administration in 24 years, Mike.
What made you change your mind and invite me to stay?
Well, you behaved yourself, relatively speaking. You act like a man that's running out of money.
Sensitivity?
No. Pity. the most useless emotion in the universe.
That medallion, that was a gift from Haile Selassie, right?
Yeah. The great emperor gave me this medallion when he came to visit me at Abyssinia. It's the oldest dynasty in the world. Started by King Solomon, Makeda, Queen of Sheba. He also gave me a solid gold cross that hangs in Abyssinia.
What was your greatest accomplishment in life?
That's no question. My 2 sons. My oldest son, my firstborn, Adam III. Oh, you already know about him. He's a fine man. His own man. This one, Adam IV. I had him with my 3rd wife, Yvette. I think he's gonna follow in my footsteps. Look in those eyes. See that fire?
Who is she?
It's my sister Blanche. The light of my formative years. She died when I was 17.
I'm sorry. Obviously, she meant a lot to you.
Yes, she did.
A good-looking family. But I meant in your work. What is your greatest accomplishment in your career?
My career? It's not over yet, my friend.
Well, you are at the age where most folks retire. And you do seem somewhat retired down here.
Well, my accomplishments are like my children. I can't pick one over the other. Every successful rent strike, every job I was able to pry loose for a black person, every appointment I enabled myself to make, every bill I got passed, every employer I forced to give his workers a minimum wage, every crack I pissed off because I out-slicked his ass. I'll let the history books decide. Nights are bringing a little bit more chill of late. My greatest accomplishment may be that I survived for so damn long.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you fully appreciate the irony of my having to come to the halls of Congress to sue for the right for Negro criminals to have a fair shot at crime in their own communities. But the fact of the matter is that corruption involving organized crime, the mob, and the New York Police Department is unacceptable. The white mob takes money from the hard-working Negroes of Harlem and put nothing back. Meanwhile, the white New York Police Department busts only the Negro numbers men in an attempt to help their white mafia friends keep competition down. Now, it's a damn shame when the law discriminates in corruption, don't you think? I'm as comfortable with that as I am with the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan working with Southern Democrats to pass Negro civil rights legislation. Although I'm sure that my esteemed colleagues from the Great South would never participate with such a hateful, hurtful band of cowardly thugs.
Hello.
Hazel, tell your husband to do himself and his family a favor and keep his nose the hell out of Harlem's numbers business.
Who is this? I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want you to call here anymore. Thank God you're home.
Baby, what's wrong?
The phone's been ringing all night. Someone's threatening us. I think it has to do with that numbers thing. Can't we just go away? Me, you, and Skipper. It's really scared me.
You can't go fishing on this one, baby. What exactly did they say?
Look, what does the mob always say?
If it's not one crisis, it's another, and another, and another. And if there isn't one, you create one. Can't you just let this one go, please? This has nothing to do with you getting ahead in Congress.
It has everything to do with my doing anything. I can't stand by and watch my people get fleeced by New York cops working with New York mobsters.
Do you remember what your father said about trying to fight too many battles on too many fronts?
Don't quote my father to me. I know what my father said, and I know what I gotta do to get where I'm going. I was elected to serve the people. Baby, I gotta serve the people.
Maybe you should have married the people.
I did, baby. Way before I met you, I told you that. I thought I made it very clear.
It is very clear. I care for the people, too, but I put my family first.
I'm Lester Wolf of Between the Lines, and we have with us the controversial, outspoken congressman from Harlem, Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. We will speak with Congressman Powell about corruption between the mob and the New York Police Department, the alleged politically motivated tax fraud charges Congressman Powell faces, and death threats from a misguided mobster. Welcome, Congressman Powell. You said on the floor of Congress that there is an alleged bagwoman.
No, she's very real.
A woman who delivers money payoffs from the mob to the police named Esther James, is that correct?
Yes, and everyone in Harlem knows it.
Congressman Adam Clayton Powell said in a statement released today that he refuses to pay the civil judgment in the defamation lawsuit brought against him, bringing the very real possibility of his arrest.
This is a victory not just for Adam Clayton Powell. The victory bell that you hear ringing is a victory for the people of Harlem, for the people of my district, all throughout the Congress of the United States of America. There will be no railroading of Adam Clayton Powell in this instance. I think it is not just a victory for me, it is a victory for you. And please print what I say, baby. I am saying exactly what I mean, and I mean what I say.
When the Lord said turn the other cheek, he didn't mean stick your face out there to get knocked down. Nothing wrong with rolling with the punch. Lord wasn't a fool. Anything you want is yours.
No, it isn't.
Why Paris? What the hell is in Paris? Why not here in New York?
Because that's where I want to go. And that's what I want to do. You go where you want to go, and you do what you want to do.
I'm not usually at a loss for words, but thank you, Hazel, for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. I'm not one of your colleagues. This is not some pleasant political disagreement. I am your wife. And I'm angry.
I'm gonna miss you, lady. I'm gonna miss you bad.
Well, I hope you get your chairmanship or your speakership or whatever the hell it is you want before they get you.
Not so easy to get. You gotta be a man now. You gotta take care of your mom and your son. You hear? I'll see you in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Remember, head up, shoulders back, palms out. You're a Powell man. got some chores to do around here. Want to own your keep?
Well, you're willing to keep answering questions. What are you smiling about?
Talk is cheap. You're a bargain. Let's get to work.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. So, after Eisenhower, you supported Kennedy?
Didn't want to particularly, right off. Like Nixon, I had the boy Kennedy on my committee. He supported the Southern Dixiecrats on most issues. But yeah, I worked with him. After the better man at the time, Johnson didn't get the nomination.
Now, Adam, I don't care what presidential candidates Symington and Kennedy come around selling. Lyndon here is going to be the man to beat.
You just tell Speaker Sam what you want for your backing, and he'll let you know what's possible.
My seniority. Protected from the Dixiecrats and the Republicans.
Done.
And I want the chairmanship of the Education and Labor Committee.
But you should rightfully have what is rightfully yours, according to seniority. I will support that fully.
Mr. Jones?
The best way to go about this is quietly. I will deliver on behalf of Congressman Powell and myself at least half the delegate votes that Senator Johnson will get on the first ballot. If he wins the presidential nomination, we will throw our full support behind him. If not, we must be free to do what's best for the party.
Your reputation is well earned, Mr. Jones.
No matter who ends up being the Democratic nominee, Congressman Powell will get full Democratic support for the Education and Labor chairmanship, which he rightfully deserves.
Deal.
After all the politicking and backroom dealing, it ended up JFK against Nixon. But as I promised my father, I had to remain independent.
Well, are you ready?
We're born ready, Ray.
Bobby? Right. The congressman will see you.
Bobby, baby. Off your cigar?
Thanks.
Ray smoked half my stash. I'm going to give it to him anyway. I think it's brilliant what you boys are doing with Jack's campaign. Any chance of getting Sinatra and Sammy up here to help me campaign in Harlem?
I'll see what I can do.
Well, Bobby, as we discussed earlier, and Adam agrees with me, the only way we're going to get an Irish Catholic into the White House is if the base of the Democratic Party comes together.
That's right, but just one question, Congressman. Why did you ask the other Negro delegates not to support Jack at the convention?
Jack accepted the support of the segregationist Governor John Patterson from Alabama. He refused to vote to censure Joe McCarthy. He's got a lousy record on civil rights. Now, you boys beat Lyndon Johnson for the Democratic nomination, but there's no way you're going to beat Nixon for the presidency if I don't help. I guarantee it.
So if we can work something out, maybe Jack can become president after all.
Well, that depends on what you want, Congressman.
First topic is the Education and Labor Committee chairmanship. When I'm chair, I don't want any interference with my authority or my seniority. I want Jack to back me. And second, you and your brother are going to have to change your ways on civil rights and the Negro.
Well, Bobby, what about it?
I don't know. I'll have to take that back to Jack. But I'll tell you one thing. Jack Kennedy will be a lot better for the Negro people than Nixon.
Well, he's got to get elected first.
Martin Luther King says that neither Republicans nor Democrats address the needs of the Negro, and that his people must do something to address this in the upcoming election.
Who's this Southern
In other news, a family was
Negro minister? Thank you, darling. Who gives Martin Luther King the right to speak for all Negroes? This cat's trying to take my job.
I just found out that he and A. Phillips Randolph and Bayard Rustin plan to protest both the Democratic and the Republican parties.
What?
No, I made a deal with Bobby Kennedy. There weren't going to be any demonstrations during the campaign.
I traded for power that's going to benefit all Negroes, and now these bush leaguers are going to mess it up. You tell those amateurs Adam Clayton Powell says call it off.
Already put out that feeler. No.
No? You tell Martin Luther King that if he doesn't call it off, I'm going to spread the word that his chief aide, Rustin, is a homosexual. Rustin's a homo, yeah?
Yes, he doesn't deny it.
Well, you tell King if he doesn't call it off, I'm going to tell the world that he and his friend, Bayard Rustin, are having a homosexual affair.
Can't do that, Adam. It isn't true.
Neither's most of the stuff out there about me. But I have to carry the weight. I negotiated for power that's going to benefit all Negroes, and I'm not going to have that jeopardized by Martin Luther King or anybody else. What is this? Demonstrations and marches. I did that 20 years ago.
So, you were shooting for as high as you could go in government?
No. I was shooting for as much power as I can gain in government because that's how changes are made in Washington. Marching and protesting eventually get on people's nerves, get very little done. Get an education, learn a profession, go into business, politics. Go after the real power, baby. Gentlemen, I've been waiting for the last 15 minutes for all of you to arrive. My expectations are simple. We don't come late. We work as long and as hard as we have to get bills drafted and passed. Quickly. Now let's get to work. It's now 15 minutes after the hour. The meeting will officially come to order.
I doubled everything of my predecessor, Graham Barton, and his staff. Give me that hammer, young blood. Graham Barton believed the earth ain't flat and the sun do move.
I doubled the meetings, budget requests, and more, and quadrupled those results.
Come on, baby, keep moving. Time's a-wasting.
In one 14-month period, I was responsible for the passage of 14 bills. Now, that is a record that no chairman in the history of the United States Congress has before or since achieved. In the 6 years I was committee chairman, I never lost one bill once it reached the House floor. That's why it was important I keep getting reelected. Congress operates by seniority, relationships, experience. It takes years to acquire all three.
So the woman says, I thought you were a man of the cloth. I said, I am, baby. Silk. I'll see you fellas later. Thanks, I appreciate the vote.
Over time, I was able to maneuver even my worst enemies. I was most proud of taking Congress to the streets of Harlem.
The monkey took the buzzer right there in the eye and said, your story's so touching. Sounds like a lie.
All cameras will have to stop. The meeting will officially come to order. What got me was how, over time, eventually my most reluctant colleagues learned to like it.
This is America, what we serve!
Don't you blow your time.
Over 500,000 people were in attendance in this historic March on Washington. Martin Luther King stirred the passions of the crowd, if not the nation, with a rousing speech about his dreams of what America can be. It is generally agreed that King's words made this a day that will long be remembered. And now we go to a live report from the Washington Monument.
Martin Luther King may have just made the speech of the century.
Anybody can have a dream. The question is whether or not you can turn that dream into a reality.
Maybe we should have stayed in the stands.
To do what, Ray? Be part of the crowd? Be part of King's audience? Man, that ought to be my show. My speech would have been, I have a plan. I can't believe my good friend Martin would have an event like this in my town and not invite me to speak.
You didn't exactly endear yourself with that homosexual ploy between him and Bayard.
It's politics, Ray. Besides, he's a pacifist. He turns the other cheek, lets white folks slap him around. He's supposed to be above all that. This is history, baby. I ought to be right in the center of it.
Would you invite you to speak if you were him?
Are you kidding? No way. Besides, everybody knows power would probably steal the whole goddamn show. Early 60s.
spite of the schemes of all my enemies, things are looking pretty good for me to get things done. Jack Kennedy and I became pretty close.
Well, ain't nothing jumping but the peas in the pot. And they wouldn't be jumping if the water wasn't hot. Ow!
Finally won one, young blood.
That's right. Changing of the guard, new blood on the block. You were saying about Jack Kennedy?
I was saying Jack Kennedy and I became very close. He kept his word. I had full access to the White House, had his complete support. About a year later, it finally hit me. I think I cried for the better part of a night. A lot of things have been said about Jack Kennedy. I wasn't always a fan, but the man I came to know had the milk of human kindness in his veins. In my opinion, Kennedy's assassination was the result of a conspiracy. Oswald was a patsy. I know there are unseen hands planning the death of King, Malcolm, and Bobby, burning cities, riots, and chaos. But through it all, I had to stay focused on what I was fighting against. Inequality, injustice, the trampling of basic human civil rights. But these are not the goals set down by the Founding Fathers, reaching for the best of what was inside of them. Lyndon Johnson was a skilled ally.
Dear Adam, the 5th anniversary of your chairmanship of the House Education and Labor Committee reflects a brilliant record of accomplishment. It represents the successful reporting to Congress on 49 pieces of bedrock legislation. And the passage of every one of these bills attests to your ability to get things done. The poverty program is rapidly paving new pathways to progress for those whom the economic vitality of this land had previously bypassed.
There's a glass. There you are.
The education measures are being translated into fuller opportunities for all our citizens to develop their God-given talents to their fullest potential. Minimum wage, long a guarantee of a fair return for an honest day's work, has been increased and greatly extended. And the problems of juvenile delinquency are being met and curtailed by positive and determined action. Only with progressive leadership could so much have been accomplished by one committee in so short a time. I speak for millions of Americans who benefit from these laws when I say I am truly grateful. Sincerely yours, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Even though you were such a good chairman, they still went after you?
Think, young blood. It was precisely because I was an active and successful chairman that the enemies of civil rights and progressive government came after me. If I'd done nothing and spoke softly, they would have left me alone.
He considers himself above the law and above the House of Representatives. And I guess he was down in Bimini, as I stated. He was down there with a glass in one hand and a woman in the other hand. And I don't think it's incumbent upon us as responsible members of the House to belabor ourselves with a man with an attitude such as that.
He's demonstrated over and over again, in my judgment, that he is not a suitable person to participate in enacting laws to govern the people of this country.
Adam Power is a symbol that all black people can organize around. There was no black man in America bigger than Adam Clayton Powell.
The Sela committee, during their so-called investigation of me, even dragged my third wife, Yvette, in front of them.
I know this committee wants to be fair, and I hope its report will be favorable to my husband.
Miss Scott, you recently got back from a concert tour of Europe and the Middle East. How long have you been back now?
Yes, altogether just about 6 months.
6 months. So you've obviously been back long enough to have heard about the difficulties that your ex-husband, Congressman Powell, has been going through. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's eminently unfair what's happening to him. I really do. The fact that he's been charged for something that other congressmen consider everyday occurrences. As a matter of fact, in a Life magazine article which I read last week, where this Congressman Hayes was a chairman of a special subcommittee to investigate federal printing and paperwork. And between May and June of 1958, Congressman Hayes took 52 trips that cost over $1,000 each out of funds allocated by Congress for NATO.
I gather you're quite angry about that. I have to ask you this. What is your evaluation of him as a congressman?
Well, I'm just a private citizen, so my evaluation doesn't matter. But let's ask Lyndon Johnson for his evaluation of him. Late President Kennedy, what his evaluation of is. The Speaker John McCormick, they said that he was the best chairman on the Hill. And that's good enough for me.
You know, I can't help noticing you speak about Congressman Powell, your ex-husband, with such affection and loyalty. I have to ask this. Is there any chance that you two might get back together again?
No. We are friends, we remain friends, and we have a son together who we're very proud of. But no, not at all.
Mr. Speaker.
You know, the number of congressmen who want to deny Adam Clayton Powell a seat in Congress is no longer a few good old boys in the backroom card game. It's becoming a crusade. And I've been thinking, if we were to strip him of his chairmanship in education and labor, which essentially reduces him to nothing, this might satisfy the Republicans, the Southern Democrats, and the others that want to run him out of Congress.
I'm not sure that'll be enough, John.
Well, for heaven's sakes, if you strip a man of all his power, what else could they possibly want?
Well, there is one thing he could give his colleagues that might help. Something that none of us have ever seen before.
What could that be?
Humility.
Adam. J. Raymond Jones. What can I do for you?
I need to talk to you. Please sit down. I'm not here for me, Adam. King, Randolph, Farmer, every black leader, every black newspaper, every black person is doing everything they can to help you. But you have to help yourself.
When have you known me not to?
All who've seen this are agreed that you've written a great speech. The tone is right.
Contrite?
Diplomatic. There's a lot more at stake than your pride, Adam. You owe the people who put you here.
I'll be the judge of who I owe and what. I've made it my point to study those men out there, my fellow congressmen who now sit in judgment of me. And if all the lying, shameless hypocrites were to leave, there wouldn't be enough men left in that room to vote.
You still have to give the speech.
I don't have to do a damn thing except for stay black and die.
Adam, please. Sit down. You're one of the most powerful black men of this century. Maybe the most ever. And I know you like the distinction. But if you don't do this 100 years from now, most people are not going to know who you are.
But I will.
Save that for the lecture circuit, Adam. I know better. You can't have it all this time. And I don't care how many congressional hypocrites you can point to who have done the same or worse. You bet your career on righteous indignation and you're going to lose.
The Speaker at this time would like to acknowledge the representative from New York, Emmanuel Sela, who has been chairing the Bipartisan Committee, which was investigating the allegations against Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. And they, at this time, are ready to make their recommendations to the House. Mr. Sela.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Except for 3 instances of treason, and that was during the Civil War, resolutions of expulsion either failed to receive the necessary 2/3 vote or lost. And a resolution of censure was substituted and approved. Mr. Powell's wrongdoing does not rise to the heights of malevolence such as treason. This bipartisan committee recommends, first, that the duly elected Mr. Powell be administered the oath of office. Second, that Adam Clayton Powell be publicly censured by the Speaker in the name of the House. Third, that Adam Clayton Powell pay the clerk of the House $40,000 to offset his civil liabilities. Thank you.
The Speaker recognizes the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. Gross.
Mr. Speaker, I have a reasonably strong stomach, but it will revolt at the aroma that will arise in this chamber if today Adam Clayton Powell is offered a seat in this chamber.
Speaker recognizes from Ohio the gentleman, Mr. Duly.
Censure is sufficient humiliation. Who are we kidding? Humility does not appear to be one of the gentleman's virtues.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hall, the gentleman from Missouri.
Mr. Speaker, Powell is uncensorable, unembarrassable, and irresponsible. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker. The Speaker acknowledges from West Virginia the gentleman, Mr. Moore.
My fellow congressman, if we reject the recommendation that the committee you appointed has so carefully delivered, we will all be on a collision course with the courts of this land.
The Speaker at this time would like to acknowledge the presence of Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. of New York in the House, and I call him forward to speak to the House.
Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues, everyone here in Congress knows that there are many among us who have done far, far worse than that which I am accused of. Some of the truly guilty have spoken out against me. There is no one here who does not have skeletons in his closet. And I know who owns what skeletons. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Speaker acknowledges the gentleman from California, Mr. Van Deer.
The unbelievable arrogance that has just been demonstrated by Mr. Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. without a single regret expressed, no apologies, calls for a motion on this floor that this gentleman be expelled from this House and a special election called for his replacement.
Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, I gladly second that motion.
The results of the resolution to exclude Adam Clayton Powell from this House are the ayes 248, nays 176, 0 abstentions. Adam Clayton Powell, Jr. of New York is excluded from this, the 90th Congress.
What are you going to do, Adam?
Kunstler, Reed, Reeves, Kenoy, Carter, Delaney, Covington, the 2 Williamses, Henry and Bennett. They're all on their way over. I think I got enough lawyers. I'm going to take this miscarriage of justice to the Supreme Court.
But in the meantime?
They're going to hold a special election in Harlem to replace me. I'm going to win it by a landslide when I'm fishing down in Bimini. The irony of it is that Wayne Hayes, of the Hayes Committee, who led the charge I misused funds, one of the two main charges they booted me out of Congress for was himself the son of a White House scandal because he took a house headweight on the junket to Paris.
Adam, you were guilty. I mean, you did do the things they accused you of. You did use travel vouchers improperly. You did have relatives on the payroll, and you did not settle the libel suit brought against you by Esther James for calling her a bag woman in public.
She was, damn it! You can't count that as a reason to boot me out. That only shows how desperate they were to get me. And it's not illegal or improper for congressmen to have relatives on the payroll if they're working. And on the misuse of funds charge. Now, when I was asked to appear before the Hayes Committee, I stipulated I would only do so if I were allowed to cross-examine witnesses, including congressmen. The basic right of the American judicial system. But my fellow congressmen, they knew if I were allowed to question them, we could easily wind up drawing lots to see who was the guilty congressman ought to be punished. Everybody had some so-called questionable travel items. I know I was far from the worst. Hell, I could ask Hayes himself who it was that paid for the almost 50 trips between Washington and his home in Ohio.
Still, man, you took yourself out of the game. Leaders have to conduct themselves in a way in which they don't get busted.
Leaders have to live too, young blood. You just have to make mistakes. And when you're more mature, you'll know that's one of the most important parts about being honest about who you are.
Nah, man. You have to hold yourself to a higher standard, because when you mess up everybody who was counting on you.
Found this laying around the house. Might get some mileage out of it.
Thank you.
You know, if you're a better fisherman, we might have had some fun.
It's getting a little late. Aren't you concerned about those Duke Ellington eyes?
Not as much as I used to be.
Better get off this island, Adam. Catch up with the times.
You're wrong again, kid. It's the times that need to catch up to me. What time's your plane tomorrow?
My plane leaves at noon.
I'll see you in the morning. Sweet dreams, kid.
Hey, wake up.
What?
We're here to see Congressman Powell.
Who are you?
We're newspaper reporters.
So?
We're here to get Congressman Powell's reaction to the Supreme Court ruling.
What'd they rule?
He won.
That's right. Won. He won.
Mr. Powell! That's it. Mr. Give us a statement.
Hey, there he is!
Mr. Powell!
Adam!
Work for the press, sir?
Adam!
Get a statement, please, sir.
Sir, what's your reaction to the Supreme Court's decision?
Two things happened today. One, I was vindicated. But more importantly, this decision proves that there is still justice in the United States.
What about your salary and fines? That came to how much, sir?
$80,000 or thereabouts. Well, if they wrongly took away my seat, I think it only stands to reason they wrongly took away my salary, wouldn't you say?
What about your seat and seniority?
Well, I think they should give that back, too. And believe me, my lawyers will be making every effort to see that these issues are resolved.
Do you harbor any ill feeling?
No. No, dear boy, of course not. Life's too short for all that. I pray each and every night for those shameless hypocrites who took away my seat.
That was the last I saw of Adam Clayton Powell. Someone told me that if you look closely, you can see death on a man's face. I went down to Bimini and saw a great man dying and didn't know it. I think of all those nights I was there and all the questions I should have asked, but didn't. Now I never can. And just like he said he would, Adam was reelected by the people of Harlem while he was in Bimini. He served again in Congress. And even though he was vindicated by the Supreme Court, he never got back his seniority, his money, nor his chairmanship. Someone ransacked his home the night after he died. The textbook he was working on, along with his journals, writings, and the gold medallion bestowed upon him by Haile Selassie, disappeared. I finished the story. Did I get it right? I don't know. All I can think is what Adam would have said. Keep the faith, baby.